Welcome to Blueprint for the New Reality, a webinar where we discuss current trends and happenings in the roofing industry. This week, we are honored to have John DeRosa with SRS as our featured panelist. Before we kick it off with John, I'd like to introduce our panel. We'll start with Nathan Higgs.
Hi, I'm Nathan Higgs. I'm the Director of Labor Connect. We help roofing companies source labor to complete their projects.
William.
Hello, I'm William. I'm the General Manager of Production with Labor Connect, and I work with Mr. Nathan Higgs there.
All right, and Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeff Wisniewski. I'm the President and Founder of GiddyUp. We're a CRM and canvassing specialized in the roofing industry.
And Mr. DeRosa.
Hey, how you doing? John DeRosa, SRS Distribution. I'm the Director of Contractor Training and Customer Experience.
Sounds pretty official. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you do and what it's like to be at SRS?
I would love to tell you all about me, but I want to introduce Jason Sloan. Jason,
Jason.
You would think it's scripted as often as this happens. I'm Jason Sloan. I'm the Business Development Specialist for Furtado Law Solutions. We're a supplement firm that is backed by attorneys.
All right.
We'll never forget you, Jason. Thank you for the introduction.
Maybe I should expand my screen, right?
Or have some more Monster drinks.
It's beer. No,
You're just rolling right through the whole, yeah, here we go, next. So you want me to talk? So I think the question was, what do I do for SRS Distribution? And my role is kind of multifaceted. I mean, I work within the marketing department. I live in the New York area, but I work for corporate. And I would say the majority of the year, I'm traveling around the United States working with key customers to really help them sort of take their sales and marketing and results to a higher level. We focus a lot on sales training, lead generation, business development activities, really designed to kind of help our customers, maximize their opportunities. And I think that the great thing about what this panel brings is just a variety of resources that, I can pull from. So as we're identifying opportunities to help customers grow, we can sort of leverage some of the relationships, even with many of the people in this panel, to help customers, accomplish exactly what it is that they want to accomplish. Just to give you a little bit of a background on me, I started in the retail, I would say the wholesale distribution business. I worked for a national distributor of, Andersen windows and doors, and I was the marketing manager for a $600 million company. And came across the statistic one day. It was on a website by a guy named Walt Steppenwolf, who was the home tech guy, and he was the guy who really was going to change the remodeling industry. And the quote said that 90% of people who enter the business today will be out of business in 5 years. 50% will go out of business in the first year. And I remember as a distributor of building material products thinking that if every year my customer, who was the lumber and building material dealer, if they had to go out and they had to replenish their customer base to the degree that Walt Steppenwolf was saying, that represented a tremendous expense for my customers. So we created something called the Contractor Survival Program. And it was a 4-week program that focused on sales and selling, marketing and lead generation, pricing and profitability. And then the fourth one was all about how do you take all those things that we spoke about and build it into a strategic plan that's designed to help you kind of get some of those things done. What was interesting is having done a couple of tours of duty on the window side of the industry, I got a call from a roofing manufacturer that said, hey, we're interested. It was a recruiter saying, I got a job for you. It's a shingle manufacturer. I remember thinking, shingles? I'm in the window industry. I'm top of the food chain, and I don't want to do anything with shingles. But I listened to what they had to say. That's a recruiter calling me. And took the job, and it was quite honestly the best decision that I ever made. I can tell you guys honestly, I don't want to, kind of get diarrhea of the mouth here, but I firmly believe that the industry that we work in is the best industry out there. We are just surrounded by some really talented, passionate, highly successful, extremely generous people in terms of the knowledge and the experience that they gain. I mean, look at this panel here. I mean, you've got some really talented, very successful individuals that are saying, hey, look, we're going to provide you with all this information just because we want you guys to be in the best position to achieve everything that you want to achieve. And that's why I came to work for SRS, because that's what we're all about. We're all about customer success. And I've never looked back. So thank you guys for having me, and I appreciate being involved with such a great group of people.
And I know for me, it's great, knowing you, having you as a resource for even customers of ours that, have those general questions, on your side, where you do a lot of customer, schooling and teaching them, pieces and parts that, no other supply house that I know of does. It's amazing to have a resource like you.
Yeah, it was kind of funny and I often tell this story and people think that it's like, maybe making this up, and I'm not. I mean, when I was on the shingle manufacturing side of the business, I had the privilege of working all along the country doing similar things to what I'm doing now, and I would interact with many of the distributors in the various markets. And what was amazing to me is no matter where I went, if I was working with or had the opportunity to work with an SRS company, whether it was B&L Wholesale in Buffalo or Midwest Roofing Supply in Chicago or Roofline Supply or Suncoast in Florida, every time I went into one of those branches, I was always just overwhelmed by the generosity and the culture and the people. And what was funny is I never realized at the time that they were all part of SRS. And I think it was the day that kind of light bulb went off and I went, oh my gosh, all of these companies are part of SRS. That's when I started to pay closer attention to the company and ultimately came to the decision that that's the company that I want to work for. And it was really based on the simple fact that if they're able to go in and they're able to acquire a business and still sort of harness the legacy of the individual brand, but also add value in a way that everybody creates this sort of customer-centric culture, I thought it was extremely powerful. And I said, that's the company that I want to work for. And when I started working for the company, no matter where I went, what department I went into, what individual or team I spoke to, if there was something that I said, hey, I need it, or what do you think of this? Everybody seemed to possess this sort of consider it done, mindset that was really pretty powerful. I don't want to suggest that every decision we make is the best decision or the right decision or the popular decision. But I will tell you that if you look at the totality of the team that we have assembled in our organization, for the most part, pound for pound, I don't think you can get a more talented group anywhere in the industry. And I'm happy to be a part of the organization.
That's great. I can tell you, I've used SRS many times in the past, and they have always given great service. So I think it's a great place.
And it's great service, Nathan, just because of who you are. We'd love to not. I'm just kidding.
I think as a CRM provider and as somebody that's partnered with SRS, I think my first exposure to John was probably 3 years ago, John, at the AT&T Stadium down in Dallas. And I think that what's really refreshing is seeing a supplier, a distributor. I remember that was the first event we went to, and just seeing the investment and seeing there had been 400 contractors that John brought into an event. And all it was about wasn't selling SRS, it was teaching contractors how to do things better. You were talking about canvassing, you were talking about selling, just the knowledge and to toot John's horn a bit here, just to hear his sales approach and, some of the tips and the tricks that he teaches people was awesome. And to see a distributor making an investment in a resource like John, I think, you look at that and you say, wow, that's impressive. And really, it's kind of like our philosophy. The more we help our customers be successful, the rising tide brings up all ships. And I think John is somebody, if you're a contractor and you're doing business and you haven't tapped in to the resources that SRS has goes way beyond just providing materials. Resources like John, I can't speak highly enough about.
Yeah, thanks. And I think that it does speak volumes. I mean, when I talked to Dan Tinker, our president and CEO, about coming on board with SRS, I mean, he was completely open to the idea of, it wasn't a position where I was going to have a sandwich board with SRS and all of our features listed on the front and back. It was going to be all about the customer. And I think that event that we had in Dallas was pretty cool too, in the sense that we, as much as it was, my content and my, training, we tried to incorporate as many resources as possible. So, I mean, the opportunity to have Giddy up there, we had, I think, Eagle View there. We had even Reed Ribble, the president of the NRCA, there, and he gave a talk. And it was really just about, we have 400 key customers in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. How can we provide them with some great content? And then afterwards, we set up our tailgate outside. We had, drinks and cigars, and, everybody just kind of hung out and talked. And it was, a perfect ending to a pretty good day. So I'm glad that you were able to participate. And I think we need to do a lot more of those things.
As a Clevelander, obviously it was great to go and stand in a black top, asphalt in 130 degree day, right? It was awesome.
Yeah, and the worst part of it is that we had to do it at, AT&T Stadium. Like, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
Right.
You're a Browns fan. It's like, no, I got to stand in here. But it was still fun, and our customers loved it. So that's really what it's all about.
Hey, I got a couple of questions. I hope people don't mind if I start and jump in. And, I think everybody wants to know about your dual role, obviously being SRS and working for Joe Exotic on Tiger King. But we'll kind of set those aside for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about what you're seeing with Roof Hub. Obviously, Giddy Up, we've worked with you and have that integration. But I think Roof Hub goes way beyond just what you're providing through CRMs. Can you talk about the impact and what you've seen for your customers with Roof Hub?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. Roof Hub is exploding for us, especially in light of, COVID-19 and the need for social distancing. I mean, the online ordering capabilities are, obviously something that customers are taking a lot more seriously these days. Typically, the feedback that we get as it relates to Roof Hub is, I think, and this is kind of like a funny thing, but what customers really like about the product is the simple fact that it works. I mean, everything that we say it does, and it does incredibly well. And I think that we owe our tech team, our IT department, a tremendous amount of credit. Here's the thing that was really cool. When we hired Patrick Garcia as our VP of Innovation, he came in and, he had ideas and things that he thought he might want to do, but rather than just throwing all this resources at creating a tool, I mean, he took some deep dives with some customers around the country to really better understand their wants and needs and how they would use this program. And I'm not going to say that out of the gate it answered all the questions. But as the program is evolving, it's becoming really the must-have, application for every contractor. Couple of things that are noteworthy in there. I mean, just from an online ordering standpoint, the things that our customers really love is, let's be honest, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, when customers have to place an order online from a distributor, we have 6,000 SKUs that are in our product category. So even when somebody wants to choose, like, I want to choose shingles, we didn't want our customers to have to go through the hassle of kind of combing through 3,000 different colors, styles, brands. So what Roof Hub does is it actually uses what we call smart template technology, and it has artificial intelligence that dives into each customer's order history. So rather than us asking the customer to have to comb through all those SKUs to identify what items they want. Now think about every category, right? Underlayment, drip edge, ice and water protector, shingle, ridge cap, underlayments. Rather than asking them to choose, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, Mr. Customer, we've looked at your order history, and we're going to tell you and recommend the items that you order most from us so that they don't have to comb through that stuff. When they click on shingles, it's going to pop up on the top, and it's going to say Roof Hub recommends, and then it's going to identify for them the most common items that they've purchased. RoofHub even goes so far as to create, on behalf of the customer, what they call smart templates. So if we see that, for example, you're an Owens Corning user or you use duration shingles and all the products necessary to support the Platinum Preferred warranty, for example, it will create, based on your order file, a template for Owens Corning. So now when you open up RoofHub, you're going to see an Owens Corning template at the bottom. You click on it, and all you got to do is choose a color and input the sizing. And that sizing thing's going to change too, because when we integrate with EagleView, which is coming, they'll just be able to import that EagleView report and assign a waste factor, and it'll take care of all the measurements as well. It's so smart, Jeff, that even if the customer chooses a color, we now have smart colors. So once you choose Weatherwood, for example, it's automatically going to color match the rest of the template to that specific color for you. So I just can't think of any reason. We've been doing a lot of webinars since COVID-19, and any of those ones that are sponsored by RoofHub, I'm now at the point with the audience where I'm saying, if you're not using this product, I need you to call me and tell me why, because I can't figure it out.
It's phenomenal. I think one of the other things that you guys do very well is that rollout. And how does that play with your contractor, the education that you do? It's great for people to throw out technology, but to have something that's functional and have something that people are using, how did you guys cross that?
I think initially it was a little bit of a learning curve on our end. Probably in hindsight, we could have gone back and maybe, launched this thing a little better with our own, internally, to get our people a little bit better prepared for going out and driving the results that, our customers want. But I think right now, what we found is that, the credibility that we gain from a lot of our seminars and some of the training that we do, customers are giving us the opportunity to include, some of the elements of, hey, here's what, the GiddyUp integration can do for you. And here's some of the ways that you can use RoofHub in your sales presentations, or when you're trying to position yourself at the kitchen table, how can you leverage all the resources that you have, to boost your credibility. And a really cool example of that is we have a feature on our hail maps on the roofhub.pro. It's our desktop version, where if you click on a button, it says show past orders. What we'll do is we will import into the hail map a 5-year history of every delivery we've ever made for that customer. So what's happening is we've actually gotten some emails from people that are saying, hey, we just got hail in Dallas, and I identified 6 past customers that were involved in that hail, and all they had to do was click on it. It pulls up the customer name, the order information, the invoice, and then the contractor just calls the homeowner and says, hey, I noticed you were hit by the hailstorm. Do you want us to come out and do an inspection? So in the COVID-19 social distancing world, these people don't even really need to knock the door anymore. They're just calling up customers and saying, hey, we noticed you were hit by weather. Do you want us to do an inspection? But what I tell contractors too is, even if you're not in a storm market or if there's no storm in your area, utilize that feature to populate the map with all the deliveries that we've made for you over the past 5 years, because it provides social proof of you being the contractor of choice for so many people in the marketplace, right? So years ago, McDonald's used to start putting on, we served 1,000 burgers. And as the numbers grew from like 1 million to 99 billion burgers sold, so did, McDonald's profits. And it was simply based on the fact that they were promoting the fact that people like our stuff. And there's a theory in sales that basically says that when you provide social proof, people will easily conform to the action of others because they believe that those actions, they believe that represents the best decision, which is why sometimes when you buy things, you'll see like, I have 2 choices. This is the preferred, or this is the most popular. When you promote it as the most popular, you're indicating that this is what everybody else likes, so I might as well like that too. So it's a pretty neat way for them to kind of gain a little bit more credibility at the kitchen table.
John, I wanted to jump on here. I feel like I have a good question you kind of touched on.
Just cut me off, man. I will keep talking,
You've kind of tapped on it a little bit. You talked about like in the home sales presentation. I understand, I'm not a contractor, but I've been a salesman. I've been a sales manager. I've been a production manager. The big thing maybe like if you could touch on is, does RoofHub offer anything that just like like if I was an owner that my sales guys could have, and more specifically, like what could it bring to them to give them the ability to move more jobs, sell more jobs, or even just be a better sales guy all around?
Yeah. I will tell you that there's certain things that we talk to people about that we think adds value in the situation that you're talking about. I honestly believe, and I just, in fairness to like some of the other technologies that are out there, there is a line, like a tipping point between like where the CRM, like where a Giddy Up kind of drops off and where Roof Hub can sort of add value to that. I think the be all end all is, just to throw a plug out at, towards Jeff and Giddy Up. I mean, their contractor, their homeowner portal where people can go online and they can kind of see where everything's at and all the communication and the process. That's a solid way to, help develop trust. The goal of the sales process, though, to answer your question, William, the goal of the sales process from my perspective is to develop a level of trust that compels the customer to come to the conclusion that I'd have to be crazy to choose anybody other than these guys. Because only when I can create that condition, then am I able to justify or ask the customer to measure the additional cost required to choose me against that value. And even in the case of the deductible game, right? Well, he's going to eat the deductible. Yeah, but when you consider all the things we do and all the ways that we add value and a peace of mind that we offer, isn't it worth the cost of the deductible? So you're really trying to just create that level of trust and the desire to do business with you. And one of the things that we tell people to do with Roof Hub is Roof Hub has the ability for the contractor to show, on their cell phone, project delivery photos. And I know every contractor that's listening to this call right now has had clients who've told them that the contractors cracked the driveway during the process. And I also know that there's a lot of contractors out there that know for a fact they did not crack that driveway. But how do you win that argument? I mean, it's a pissing contest that you can't win. So what we always tell contractors is to let the customer know that they believe that the suppliers, the companies that they align themselves with say a lot about who they are as an organization. And then what they say is the reason why we choose Midwest Roofing Supplier, the reason why we choose Suncoast is because we ask them to include delivery photos of every single delivery that they make, because we want to make sure, this is the contractor speaking to the homeowner, I want to make sure that they're treating your property as respectfully as we do. You'd be surprised at how many times somebody will, crack the driveway or destroy the landscaping, and you don't have to worry about that with us. And then they show them the delivery photos. Now here's the deal. I've had contractors that tell me that just by having that proactive conversation, by saying, you don't have to worry about that with us, they've seen those frivolous claims almost disappear. And we all know that some customers are still going to throw that out there just to see what they get. And when somebody does throw out that, sort of frivolous, hey, I think you guys cracked my driveway, then the contractor, because they've had this conversation, they could say, okay, well, let me go back and check the delivery photos that we talked about, and then we'll have a discussion. And once they remind the homeowner that there's pictures, those claims go away. So just another way. So that plus the social proof. And I just think, too, the availability of showing customers that you're using technology. Look, think about it this way, guys. The price is all about context, right? So if you expect to pay more for a Budweiser at the Omni Hotel in Dallas, Texas, you expect to pay more for the Budweiser there than you would expect to pay for a Budweiser at some bodega, right next to Jeff's house in Cleveland. And the reason is because there's a better experience, and that experience drives price. When you're showing them that you're up on technology and that you're professional and all those things, they expect that you're going to cost a little bit more. And I always think that that's a good thing, because I believe that those expectations tempt people. They want to see, are you really worth the more that I think that it's going to cost? And your ability to use technology, I think, is an excellent way to demonstrate, what makes you different and why you might be worth a little bit more. So I hope that answered the question.
It did, and that's great. I like how it separates us apart, in building value. There's 1,000 roofers in the city. What makes me better than Joe Blow down the road? So
I'm telling you right now, man, if you can't show them what makes you different and better, then your price is too high. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? At the end of the day, they're going to make a buying decision. The evaluation of your higher price is going to be based on what's the perceived value of doing business with you. If you're $1,000 more, you've got to show them why, the peace of mind, and all the things that you do that makes you different and better, why it's worth more than $1,000. If you can't show them, then your price is too high in their mind. And that's the fault of the salesperson. You can't blame the homeowner for that.
Agreed.
Sorry
Hey,
to.
John, I wanted to, we're getting short on time, and I wanted to make sure that Jason was recognized and see if anyone else had any questions before we end this.
I just had a quick question. What's the best way? So say a contractor is not currently working with SRS. They've been to the tailgates and everything else, but they haven't signed up. What's the best way? Because obviously your plethora of knowledge and training would be great for them. What's the best way to connect with SRS and you?
You can email me at jderosa@srsdistribution.com. Contact your local branch. If we have salespeople in your market that aren't calling on you, then let me know, because that's criminal. But yeah, you can email me and we can point you in the right direction. I'm not afraid to take calls or emails. Or if you're more comfortable, if you have a relationship with somebody at the local level, just say, hey, I want to, take a little bit of a deeper dive into the potential for a relationship, and we'll see what we can do to, make sure that it's a win-win scenario for everybody. Good question.
I've got a closing question.
Yeah.
For clients that, people that are coming to SRS or want to be part of Roof Hub, can they just go to roofhub.com or .pro and subscribe, or do they need to go through, and get a credit line or get a customer ID and stuff to proceed, with SRS?
Yeah, I mean, the Roof Hub is something that's exclusively provided to SRS customers. So you are going to need to have an account with us to take advantage of all those tools. Good question. If you don't have an account, again, just contact me or contact your local branch, and they will be happy to get you guys set up. I do want to just say one thing before we close off, and I'll tell you, this is just my humble opinion. I've been working in this industry for a long time, and I've been working in the window industry for a long time, and I'm always amazed by the level of, how people just respond to great information. But the one thing that's always really shocking for me is just, in some cases, the lack of execution. People will go to my seminars, they'll go to our talks. I'm sure you've had these situations where they'll say, hey, man, I took 5 pages worth of notes. And I'll say, cool, just pick one item and make it happen. And they look at me crazy, like, I took 5 pages. Like, I understand, but life happens, business happens, pick that one thing. Just to be clear, everybody on this panel right here, it creates opportunities for you, contractors, as business owners, to take some responsibility that you have and sort of delegate it to one of the people on this panel, so that you can execute on some of the ideas that you want to execute. We all say we want to scale our business. Well, unfortunately, contractors today are wearing so many hats that you're unable. I mean, trust me, it is unhealthy and physically impossible for you to scale if you continue to hold on to every single responsibility that you have. So here's my suggestion. If you want to scale, rely on companies like Labor Connect to help you with labor. Rely on GiddyUp to help you with your CRM and your customer relationship management and your project management and all that stuff. You've got to learn to take advantage of some of those other resources, or you're never going to be able to, at least in a healthy way, you're never going to be able to get to that next level. So I just wanted to, throw that out to a little prop for the panel, and thank you guys for your time today.
Looks like Chris Martin has a question. Does SRS sell Atlas?
In some markets we do. Yeah, a lot of our brands are pretty much like local decisions. If that's an issue for you, talk to our branch manager about that. And we certainly have a relationship with Atlas. They're a great vendor of ours, and we want to support them in the markets where it's needed. Yep.
Perfect. I think he's
Thanks for that question.
The Kansas market is what it looks like. So,
yep.
Chris, reach out to me, buddy. If you're watching this, I'll hook you up with a great branch manager down where you're at.
I just want to shout out and say, hey, if you're using SRS, or if you're not taking advantage of some of those extra value adds that SRS provides, goes way beyond just being a distributor. Reach out to John, look at the seminars he has. When we get going back, I know a lot of parts of the country are now starting to ease up. Search out the events that John does. There's a lot of information that he provides that really helps you sell more roofs and do better. And I think that it's key for you to reach out to them.
And we're here to help as well. You know, we can, SRS delivers the material, and we can provide the labor force to do the work to help you keep up. So for sure, we'd love to help as well.
And
Right, I think that's it, guys. Anything else?
Nathan, who do we have next week? Do we have that set up yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Maybe Justin Woodruff. Sounds like he might be interested.
Okay.
John, are you back to filming Tiger King next week, or are you going to be able to be on the show again?
We're waiting. I think Trump's going to pardon him. And then once that happens, then we're going to get back on schedule.
Okay, because I know you were having Carol on your, wasn't she scheduled to be on your call, or no? What's that?
Yeah, I'm kind of like this Secretary of State. I'm trying to bring those two worlds together. I think that there can be some really good synergies there.
Yes. The Middle East was easy. You figured you go into fixing that relationship first, right?
Yeah, I mean, Arafat and Israel, I mean, that's easy. But getting Carol and Joe Exotic together,
Yeah.
make that happen.
If anybody can do it,
I'm a closer,
put my
man.
money on you.
I'm a closer, dude. I can close that deal.
You can close it.
Justin Woodruff just asked what it means for the new reality, and apparently the Tiger King is our new reality here.
I hope not.
All right, thanks,
Guys,
fellas.
thank you
Y'all
so
have a
much.
good
Have a
one.
wonderful weekend.
See you guys.
Take care, everybody.
Enjoy your week.
Thank you.
Bye.